Hi, sisters. We're back to continue on in Revelation 12. Why my memory is still there. And then we're probably going to start reading in Psalm 68, and we'll just read to whenever, and then we'll pick it up again, okay? I think that's how we're going to do it. Forgive me for the light. The light was just shining. I'm now starting to suspect strongly that it is actually my camera doing it in some way, because when I was sitting here, it was so bright. And there was nothing I could do. And then I see, there it goes again. Now, why is it doing that? Right? It's my actual camera doing it somehow. And I don't know why. Anyway, forgive me for the glare. It's the camera doing it for some reason, and I don't know why. So let's begin in Revelations, okay? Let's pick it up. And it's an overlay is what we were actually looking at. So here, if I can straighten this out here and get this going right. How long the video is going to be, I have no idea. That's the one we want. Okay, so Revelation 12. There it is. And we get this. And we could go back and backtrack and read the overlay, but we kind of looked at it a little bit. I didn't do a great job. But it's Michael. Okay, let's do it. Michael is the she. He's in the heavens already on her throne as the dragon. And there is some correlation to the constellation of Draco in the past. And we did this. If you happen to miss that study on the constellation of Draco, I don't know if I actually said it in that video, because I'd been looking at Draco for quite a while, the dragon, the Leviathan, which I've kind of, I equate it to the constellation of Draco. So, but there is some understanding that in the past Draco was also known as a, how did they call it? A behemoth. I'm not saying the exact terms that they used, but it was a cow. I'm still not saying it right. But Draco can change into a dragon or become a behemoth was kind of the takeaway from that particular understanding of that constellation, because in the past it had not been known as a dragon. It had actually been known as this, and I'll say it, a behemoth, because when you go look the word behemoth up, let's do it before we come back here. I got a lot of tabs up. Okay, so Strong's Hebrew, behemoth. Okay, behemoth. If I got that spelled wrong, but they'll get it maybe. 9:30. Okay, so that's study light, so that isn't the right. I want Bible Hub. Okay, so behemoth, a kind of animal. They got noun masculine. It's obviously not. It's a feminine. We've identified who they took out. They rewrote. Some says it's a hippopotamus, right? In allegory, it is the nation of Israel as a cow. They've got a water ox here. It's not an ox. It's always going to be a feminine in your beginnings and in your end. In the middle where the men changed it all out. So when you hit on its derivative, the derivative, it'll take behemoth, which is feminine, a beast, animal, cattle. A beast, animal, cattle. So this is why you get the Leviathan in the behemoth, right? The behemoth. The living creatures, beast, cattle. So we get this, all right? I forget where I was going with that. But anyway, it was important to understand that there was a change, okay, in the viewing of it, in the way that they viewed it in nature, okay? So, what we get in the first part is the male, which is the abomination of desolation caught up to her throne, which we find in Isaiah 14. And we see how he caused it. He caused it through violence, great deal of violence against his other half. the men who are currently preaching their male idols, don't ever tell me the truth matters to these boys. It doesn't. All that matters is their bloody pride, going he, Father and Son, give all glory to them, because it comes right back to what's in their own heart themselves. And so do not ever tell me that the truth matters. They can't be bothered to reason, because none of what they teach reasons. A he God that gave life to everything. And then we have God as a complete, absolute liar by what's created in the earth, which is male and female, and it is a female that is the life giver, who is the part of the creator and the maker. So the truth don't matter to these boys. All that matters is they keep harping to the women, especially. That's who they got to have, to bow down and to worship them and to build them up, which we're actually told about the women who did that in Ezekiel 17. So we know there's a group of women in total opposition against us, who has the right scepter and the righteous way that God rules, which was never through a harlot spirit, which is what you find in Ezekiel 17. These women who took their goods, who took their rights and built up a male idol and basically handed over the birthright, which is represented by a multicolor spectrum. A birthright is always represented in that way. That's why we see the coat of many colors gave to Joseph, which is representing the feminine blessing, which is the birthright. Now understand, Jacob actually split the blessing and birthright, which was to automatically go to the firstborn, not the firstborn son either. It was supposed to go to the firstborn daughter, and it was both her blessing and her birthright in the beginning. And that is a story in itself, because it should have went to Reuben. But Reuben went up to his father's house, right? And took one of the concubines, really. She wasn't even really fair play, one of the wives. I believe she was Rachel's concubine. Not concubine, but her, I forget what they called them. But she gave her servant, supposedly Rachel did, to Jacob, right? And I think it was that one. It was Rachel's, not Leah's servant, whatever you want to call him, that was gave to Jacob, that Reuben went up to, and it says defiled his father's house. No, his father had already defiled his house. Plain and simple. A man was to have one wife, and that was it. But when he wrestled with the angel, Israel, and stole her birthright, Jacob then basically does whatever Jacob wants to do. And so Reuben really did not defile his father's house. His father's house had been defiled by the father in the beginning. So Reuben really should have maintained control of the blessing and the birthright as the firstborn son. It should have absolutely went to him. Now, the blessing is, they'll call it the king. The blessing is the crowning. The birthright is what Jacob is what Joseph inherits, because he had split it. Jacob split it. Jacob was a smart old boy. He was. He split it, and when he split it, what you end up in representation is Judah and Joseph. So he divided the pleasant land, is really what he did. They were no longer one unit when he did that, when he split that blessing birthright, which was supposed to be one. And that was found in Reuben, the firstborn. It should have been. Now, we know that Reuben also was one of the good sons, along with supposedly Judah, that tried to save Joseph's lives, whereas the rest of them wanted to outright murder Joseph. They wanted to kill him. And because of Reuben, and I really think it does come down to Reuben, saying, no, we can't do this. No, we cannot. We cannot murder our brother, Joseph. And we know in allegory, Joseph actually represented the divine feminine. So really what you get in the overlay is that they were trying to murder their sister. Anyway, sorry, I'm off track here. But rightfully, the blessing went to the blessing and birthright were in the very beginning one unit. All right, and it was to go to the firstborn of the womb, and that was identified as feminine. So kind of an allegory, you get Reuben. All right, and she gets accused, so it's really quite convoluted, the lie. And she gets really accused of defiling the house, right? When it was really her brothers that were making the accusation, saying she was doing these things when she had not done these things. He had used great violence against her to cause it. So you kind of get that wrapped up in the allegory of Reuben as well. Now, they claim the nation of France, when you get really looking at how all the nations split out, the 10 tribes, they claim it represents France, Reuben does. And he's also represented by a red stone, some say. So it's kind of there. But and France is interesting itself because a lot of the derivatives that come by way of the Arabic tribes ends up in some of the language of France. It's interesting. Anyway, I won't get into it. Sorry about that. I blathered on there. So here in Revelation 12, and she brings forth a man-child, and she did, but she didn't. She actually didn't do it. He caused it. So he becomes the abomination of desolation, and he does actually rule her with a rod of iron. He removes her rights from her. He puts a yoke on her neck. They say, let us stop her from becoming a nation, not him. The kings take counsel to cut her cords, her bands, her law system away from them. So you do get all of that when he rises up and takes her throne in Isaiah 14, but we see that he is nothing more than a man. And that when these daughters actually start to stand up for the truth, this daughter, plural daughters, stand up for the truth, that we actually find them saying, since thou has, well, let's get it. I'm sorry, if I put this on, is it going to glow? Let me see. I apologize. Oh, it's not good. Okay, so I'm going to go here to, what did I say? Oh my gosh. Yeah, Isaiah 14. All right, I remember it. Isaiah 14. They say it in Isaiah 14, which takes us directly to the passage in Psalm 74. Now, they don't want to tell you it's feminine, that they are dealing and making the power in their arm their God. God is a spirit, spiritual power. The strength of the woman is her spiritual power and her mental power, which is why wisdom is identified as feminine, to overcome and to prevail against the lies of the enemy that in the beginning he used great violence to put in play. So in Isaiah 14, we get the women and the sons, these peaceful sons who don't want to, that they are valiant men. This is how you are a valiant man. You are not valiant when you're pushing your bull god, your idols. You are not valiant for the truth. There's nothing valiant in you. You're arrogant and you're egotistical is what you are. And the law proves it. So in Isaiah 14, where does it say it? So yeah, I believe there's a division between verse 6 and 7, that they're not telling you what goes on between those two verses. So verse 6 of Isaiah 14, he who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted. He's finally persecuted, and none hindereth. So this persecution, I will put it into the hand of them. This is where he becomes persecuted. It says, bow down that we may go over, and you have laid your soul. Some of the renderings will say, your soul, you have laid your soul down so that they may go over and persecute you. And so in anger is persecuted and none hindereth. So we actually see the turning of the cup to his hand. Now he's going to drink her wrath down. I don't know that I have the exact context there, so don't hold me to that. Verse 7, the whole earth is now at rest. and is quiet, and they actually break forth into singing. What a glorious day that will be, huh? Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no feller, no axeman, no woodcutter that we found going into her sanctuary, found in the house of, I'll get it, house of Lebanon, the house in the forest of Lebanon. It's important that you get the axeman here, right? Feller is axeman, the axeman. And it says they were as axemen welding axes in a forest when they went into her sanctuary, and changed. They burned some of them down, and then they changed the banner, what identified it, and that's where they began to set in their male idols. And she said, none of us, and they say, none of us knows how long this will last. But we get the number counted in Daniel, where one angel speaks to another. And so then they're handed how long the defiling of their temple will last, because we are actually viewing the women there, the woman's temple that's in view, not the man's. They've tried to put a male temple in play, with their male idols in play as their rituals. So they keep wanting to construct the male body and say it's the male tabernacle representing man's tabernacle, and always putting the beast system back in place. So it's all ritualistic. And so when they sacrifice the red heifer, they're more or less saying in a very roundabout way, because it's a female, heifer's a female. Although when you read some of the text, none of them will say it's female. None of them will say it's concerning the daughters in the nation of Israel. None of them, right? They'll say it's about Jesus. Yeah, well, okay. Well, if that's truly what you believe, then your ritual is concerning, the sacrifice of Jesus, right? So they're saying one thing on one hand and doing another on the other. But it's really about them wanting to get rid of these wise women who's reborn out of the dust of the earth, holding the truth on their tongue. They want to do that. So the ritual is all about trying to reestablish this treacherous tabernacle that man has dealt living in for thousands of years, hating on her. And God says, you built a world on hate and you called it love. You don't get it yet. You can't see what they've done. I call it the harlot's romance. When is she ever going to wake up? Anyway, so, yeah, verse 7, the whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir tree rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no feller is come up against us, no axeman. Hell from beneath is moved for thee. For who? For the guy in verse 6, he who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that took control over law, ruled the nations in anger, is persecuted, and none does hinder. So now he's persecuted. And that's why we can bring in, and we may not get to this if I keep babbling, we get that, how is it that one can put 1,000 to flight? How is it one can put 10,000, or 5 can put 10,000 to flight? How can you do that? You do it by knowing the truth. And you do it by actually being able to prove it and substantiate it in the studies and reasoning. And when you can do that, you can put 10,000 to flight. 5 of us can put 10,000 of them liars to flight. They're not going to touch you. They're not going to touch you because they don't know the word. Their sword has become dull, extremely dull. They do not know the truth. They don't want it. Which is then why we can persecute him who has smote the people, especially their daughters, in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruled the nations. That's Satan, fallen Adam, the accuser, in anger. He had no reason to be angry. She says, they come upon me and they have no reason to hate me. I forget the exact term there. So they are laid down, no fellers come up against us. Hell from beneath is moved to meet him at his coming. At his coming. Yeah, that's when Satan gets cast off of her throne. That's the dragon here. And no scabbard is found for his sword, for his word. So peace is took out of the earth because now he's trying to come against she who gave birth to the Holy One, who was caught up to the throne, which is now identified as Mikael. Look the word up. Mikael, she who is like God. I'm not gonna access. Okay. Oh my gosh. No, okay. You moved it over. So, I thought I had. So what does it say? The war in heaven. And there was war in heaven, and she who was like God. That's the meaning of Mikael. It's not he who is like God, it's she who is like God. And her angels, the women, the daughters, who received the truth, and a few sons, fought against the dragon, Draco. He's got a wall in the south end of his tail that he used to actually cast a third of the stars, where they stamped upon him. Yeah, because he exalted the harlot that would then make Bel king of Babylon. Yeah. So, and fought against the dragon, and dragon fought and his angels, his men, these men with big blows. Yeah, the big blow-offs who are not valiant for the truth in the earth, are valiant for themselves. And everything male. That's all they are. He, me. That's all they mean. She's never been that way. She's always being a mother whose womb bears both male and female children. You understand how important your children are to you and how fair you want to be to them. A father who does not bear children does not get that. And most fathers, if you listen to them in today's world, and I've never understood men thinking that this was not a slap in the head to the daughters. I want a son. I want a son. Oh, he's got to, and even the women will go on, he's got to have a son. Oh, I don't need daughters, but he's got to have son. You see, they're so in love with themselves. They're so in love with it. They don't understand how important both children are to their mothers. I have a son. I do. And he's very special to me. But at the same time, I don't hold back in telling him what men have done. And he goes, "You're right, Mom. I can see it. I know what you're saying, Mom." And it doesn't mean that I've brainwashed him. My son is very independent-minded. And he's very strong-minded. And I think those are the ones that we've got to raise to be valiant for this greater truth. We need them. We do. We need them. We need our precious sons and fathers and spouses to be valiant for this truth. We need them to be valiant, to understand with a heart, a willing heart. If they're truly righteous sons, they're going to receive that truth because it's going to reason to them. So it's she who is like God. She raises up and fights for her throne, her kingdom, finally, and she does that with the truth. But the dragon prevailed not, and neither was there place found any more for him. So hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. Well, another name for hell is Sheol, right? That is the definition, Sheol. And for all intended purposes, we may be off on this, it's earth. So earth is moved. Earth became the womb of Sheol, bearing children up in this lie, this man-made religious lie, and she did not deliver them into truth, which is, she said, they kicked my feet away. I am no longer able to birth out children into the truth. So that's the womb of Sheol. That's represented by earth. So it could be earth from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. Yeah. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? So again, we get a spiritual overlay, possibly when the daughters were cast down, the righteous daughters were cast down. But then we come back to the king, thy pomp is brought down to the grave. and the noise of thy vials. The worms is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. Yeah. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? Okay. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into the heavens, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, above the stars. That we find being cast down into the book in the book of Daniel and stamped upon when he exalted a harlot spirit to be equal to the commander of the host and then above the commander of the host. Commander of the host is she, the mother. She's the commander. And because it's her creation, she creates the clay in her womb. She creates this existence. The children are hers, and her right is to write the laws to govern that kingdom. Now, he takes that from her, even though he agreed to the covenant. All right, he turns. So what we find here is, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne, he says, above the stars. And I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. Why is that important? Because we're leading into Psalm 68, where we find this congregation of women identified that have been displaced, which is why we also find the true Lord, daughter Zion, displaced from Mount Sinai. We also find her being displaced in Psalm 68. We do. I will be like the Most High, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man? Oh, look, he's not a supernatural entity. He's a man. Satan is a man. Yeah, turns out he's fallen Adam, the accuser, Beelzebub, the husband who accused her. And we know he accused her. We get it in Job. She says, I will wear it like a crown upon, and I will use it to exonerate myself in the end with a little book of the truth sealed up. That made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms. He did. She says in Isaiah, that made the world as a wilderness. And then she says, I will flee into the wilderness. And she did. She fled into the wilderness and destroyed the cities. He's done all of these things. Thereof that opened not the house of his prisoners. And he didn't. And so we also get the overlay that she didn't. When she get cast down into there, she fled into the wilderness. She turned her back. And it says, God, when are you going to stand up and stand for your cause in the earth? Stand and support your cause. And so when she finally does that, she actually ends up freeing the prisoners, which are the women ensnared in a lie, and the men who are willing to hear the truth. Right? Which is why we get her raised up as Michael to fight the dragon. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, fallen Adam. He's nothing more than a man, who deceived the whole nation, all the world. We also get that she will remove the dark covering of this world. Yeah. It's not this verse, but this ties into Revelation 12 here. Just a second, we'll get there. Now what verse is it? Right there, verse 7 of 25. This is her doing it. And she will destroy in this mountain. She says, who shall ascend into my holy hill? She with clean hands and pure heart. She says, you forgot my mountain. You forgot about me, right? Which is the congregation in the north that was denied her mountain. And she will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people and the veil that is spread over all nations, a lie. And she does that when she rises up with the truth in her mouth, reborn out of the dust of the earth. And in Isaiah 27, in that day the Lord with her sore and great and strong sword, word, that's her power, shall punish Leviathan. Her sword is out. There's no sheath, I forget now the word, found for his in the heavens. But hers is out at this point to take him out, which is why Michael rises up to fight, because she's found her sword. She's found her word, and it's very sharp. His has gotten very dull. See, there's nobody in the earth to actually defend it because they've let their sword go so dull. They no longer understand it themselves. So when she goes in and finds her sword, finally, her ability to fight back, she takes him on. She rises up. The earth delivers a child out, a female child out. He also gets cast down, and he goes after the woman, the earth that delivered the child. So is there many planets and it's Earth that actually delivers the child out? So there's multiple ways that you can come at this, and it makes sense. So in that day, the Lord with her sore and great and strong sword shall punish Leviathan, the piercing serpent. Here did he pierce and murder the daughters, the women, to the point that she actually got cast down into the wilderness and turned her back on her own daughters. Even Leviathan, that crooked serpent, he is crooked. This is the interesting thing about the aurora. I said borealis, but I can't say. I forget it. I have to read it to remember it. But the serpent is shown as being all twisty. I forget how many loops does he have in him? The Draco constellation has many loops, but it's not touching. The ends are not touching, and that pen don't write, right? So the serpent Draco kind of looks a bit like this. I'll show it to you right quick. So we get this serpent, and he sort of loops, right? And then his tail here is where the wall is. Okay. So we get the serpent here. So this is what Draco looks like now. I don't know. Can you see that? See, I don't know if the light's shining and I got my camera up. But roughly, I know that's a poor job. More than a poor job. But he has these multiple loops in him. So it's not straight. The crooked path of Draco, right? Yeah, I got it here. So in that day, the Lord with her sore and great and strong sword, word, shall punish Leviathan, the piercing serpent, even Leviathan, that crooked, and he's crooked, serpent, and he shall slay, she, not he, it's her that slays him, that slays the dragon that is in the sea. In that day, sing ye unto her, and it does say her, a vineyard of red wine. I can tell you the word, I'm pretty sure it's this past, red wine does not appear here. It does not. I forget. We did a video on it. But what should Draco actually look like? Is it like this? Is it like that? Because some has it like that, right? That's the sign for infinity or eternity, right? Right now, it's like that. He's a crooked serpent. We're on a crooked path. We're supposed to be on a straight path. And then some shows it like this, right? Right? The serpent eating its tail over and over and over again. But that's the sign of eternity. So we're on a crooked path according to that. We're not on the straight path. So it's interesting that we get all of that information there. But I, the Lord, do keep it, her vineyard. Now she's keeping her vineyard, right? In that day, sing ye unto her a vineyard. Who says, but my own vineyard I had not kept? Well, the Shulamite does. The Shulamite is the angel, she who is like God. Mikael, the feminine is there. It's the feminine form of the word. She who is like God. And her angels fought against the dragon, right? I, the Lord, do keep it. I will water it every moment. The water is found with the mother. Even in the sign, M, Hebrew, she's represented by Mem and the Aleph. Yeah, she's the Queen Mother. So the water comes from her. not him, but he made it into a blood covenant. I, the Lord, do keep it. I will water it every moment, lest any hurt it. I will keep it night and day. Fury is not in me. Who would set the briars and thorns against me, the daughters of Israel, the wise women, in battle? I would go through them. I would burn them together. Yeah. Or let her take hold of my strength, or him, that she may make peace with me, and she shall make peace with me. Right? So that's us daughters. She shall cause them that come of Israel to take root. Right? The rebirth of Israel. Israel shall blossom and bud and fill the face of the world with her seed. Yeah. Yeah, she does. But it's interesting that the water is found with the mother, not the father. But he denied the potter, the creator, the maker. He told her she had no power over her own creation, which is why the earth then births out a daughter. So he was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength in the kingdom of our God and the power of our anointed one. For the accuser of our sisters, they accuse the woman of being beguiled in the garden, and they accuse her of some pretty nasty things. For the accuser of our sister is finally cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. That's what he's doing. So they overcome him, and they love not their lives unto death. So this may be past, present, future tense. We're looking at all of these daughters. And we get them when they're finally handed their robes in the book of Revelation, saying to their Lord, how long, O Lord, holy and true, does thou not avenge our blood on those that shed our blood in the earth? That's the blood covenant in view. You're not washed in blood, you're stained in it. You're washed in water, the truth of the word, which comes from the daughters. So, and when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, you see, so Sheol, it says, hell shall meet thee at thy coming. So we're just told here, Sheol is earth. That's what it's just said there. That he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man child. Now, I'm going to say something here, forgive me for it. There's a word here, G. It means earth, and nome means law. So is that the spirit of earth reborn? The law, the spirit law of earth reborn? I don't know how you would say it. There's also the word to become, come into being, right? So I don't know. It's all interconnected. So does Earth actually have a spirit associated with it? Does each planet have a spirit? It says the stars. So how many of these daughters were literally cast to the earth and stamped upon? We know it was the glory that was cast down because of Lamentations chapter 2. Despite all the lies that they want to put in play there, it is identified as feminine. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle. Now, wings are a symbol of spiritual power. So I'm thinking these, I don't know. I know what I'm thinking. I'm thinking there's a place between heaven. I'm thinking there's a place between the second heaven and earth. That's what I'm actually thinking. And some says that's the 5th dimension. So I don't know. I don't know. It was just a thought that maybe that's where she's taken to, because wings are a symbol of heavenly power. But yes, then you get the figurative of there's an actual core group of women on earth that are taken to a place of protection, and provided that by a great eagle. So we may break that down sometime. That she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and half a times from the face of the serpent. So has that already taken place? I mean, we're just coming up on this prophecy ourselves, aren't we? That we are the spirit reborn out of the earth. that when we die, we are the ones that are going to go over the wall. We are, though the archers are shooting at us, husband, bridegroom, lord, and master, is claiming to be king of Draco, the Leviathan, which really should be Behemoth. I mean, it's really interconnected, and it's going to take us battling him to get back eternity, infinity. We've got to straighten that pathway out, I think. So it's us in there that actually is able to do that, to bring on the eighth day dawning, right? This is what it looks like. So I can tell you right now, we're not getting into Psalm 68 today. But this has gotten really interesting for me. I'm glad that we did. And when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman, the spirit of the earth, which had brought forth the man-child. So then it's not a man-child. She actually brings forth the firstborn daughter this time, right? And she's not only a queen, she's the sovereign over the entire kingdom. And her loving man will love her exalted and love to gaze upon her beauty. And she will love him and love to gaze upon his beauty. That's true love. You don't kick each other down. You build each other up. And I've had to do the things that I've done to get to this truth. I've had to examine fallen man in this hard context. And the harlot in this hard context. You're not going to find the truth without being truthful. And that doesn't mean you coddling, right? So, yeah, that's the true covenant that should be regarded in the heart of man and woman. So, and the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away on the flood. And she was. See, so we're getting past tense here. It's amazing in allegory. So he's cast out the religious lie upon lie, precept upon precept, and has carried her away in the lie, right? This lying theology that sees a woman bow down at the feet of a man. But watch, the earth helps the woman. Is that genome? G, the earth. Nome, the law. The earth's law now changes to help the woman. That's what it kind of looks like. And the earth helped the woman. And the earth opened her mouth. Long time have I been silent. Now will I go forth as a travailing woman. I will destroy and devour at once. I will lead you in pathways that you have not known. I will straighten the pathway. Right? And you will be ashamed of those male idols that you bowed down to. Now that's what is stated in Isaiah 42. And swallowed up the flood the earth did, which the dragon had cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony not of Jesus, but of the Holy One's law, the truth. So it's all there. But what's the word nourished here? We want it to look at this. And though this may well be past tense, and it's also future. Yeah, now that I think of it. So we'll read the verse again, Revelations 12:14. I'm sorry, we'll have to be done after this. I did want to get into Psalm 60. I promise that's the next video. And to the woman were given 2 wings of great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness and into her place where she is nourished for a time, times, and half a time from the face of the serpent. So somewhere the spirit of this woman is kept during everything that takes place, the building up to these religious lives, which actually correlates to the mother, wisdom, saying to her, I won't force you to endure all of these things. I'll allow you to sleep through them, which takes us to those who have slept, right? In Romans, let's go there, Romans 11. We'll just do this right quick before we go in and look at this word and be done. So Romans 11, all right? does it say? According as it is written, God hath given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear, until I think it should say, until this day, until the day that's appointed to at that time, right? We've looked at that. But until then, let their table be made a snare and a trap, and a stumbling block, and a recompense unto them. Let their eyes be darkened, that they may see, not see, and bow down their back, and not always. That has laid thy body flat. Now we see the elect here actually being feminine, called out and pulled out. That's a new branch. They're not in Israel. The 10 tribes are cast out amongst the Gentiles. That is how Israel fills the world with her seed. They're already out there. Okay, so yeah, there it is. I also wanted to do that. Okay, so now we're going to look at the word nourished. Did I say everything I wanted to there? Where she is nourished there. So while she sleeps in the spirit, at the same time, she, according to this, is being nourished. So that she can, when she is born out of the earth, actually have the truth. So, our vessels is already filled. We have to access it. We have to find a way to access that knowledge because it is already there in the spirit that we have been nourished with, though we slept. So the word nourished takes us to 5142. Very important. To make, to grow, to nourish, to feed, bring up, rear, much like a mother does with her milk. So she's nourished by her mother, the earth, where she slept in the spirit. She still gets nourished. Food properly enlarged, fully developed, because she is adequately nourished and fed. Figuratively, to bring or experience personal enlargement. You, me, we're experiencing this personal enlargement because she has nourished us in the spirit with this truth, even while we slept. It was there, wasn't it? The whole time you were going, yeah. There was this question in here going, but what about the women? What about us with this he? Our eyes could still see male and female the whole time. We were able to access it, right? They can't. And it's their ego and their pride that's preventing them from accessing this truth. So properly enlarged, fully developed, because adequately nourished, figuratively to bring up or experience personal enlargement, i.e., spiritual development from being properly fed, nourished, or taken care of. And it is the earth that does that for us all. She's our mother. She feeds and she nourishes us. Brought up, to make, to grow, to nourish, to feed. Nursed. She's our mother nourishing us. Nurture. She's nurturing us, our mother. And a loving father will do that. Unfortunately, the men want to be worshipped and call that love. Tell the woman she has no rights, she has no goods under law. Well, you do. Look around the globe. And they're threatening to take our rights away because there's men coming in saying they're women, which is basically knocking our rights. They had this planned a long time ago. They did. Except the earth then, the wheel has finally produced some very strong-willed scepters, daughters. That's right, she has. Ezekiel 19. Strong daughters for the rule is what the earth has produced. A primary verb, but perhaps strengthened from the base of trope. Now, you wait a minute. We're going to look at that. That's a fascinating one. Through the idea of convolution, properly to stiffen. What would stiffen do? Well, stiffen means your neck, but it means that we found our argument, our stronghold, our sword. We're going to battle back in the spirit. That's what that's claiming. And we're going to win, according to she who is like God. So properly to stiffen, we also she says to Jeremiah, but it's really the daughter she's saying it to as well. I will make your forehead like adamant, right? I'll make you strong in the spirit, so strong. Fatten, by implication, to cherish with food, pamper, rear, bring up, feed, nourish. I feel she's really pampered me. She has really nourished me. I'm so thankful that I didn't give up. I truly am. I'm thankful that she placed a tenacious spirit on me to not give up. At least to desire this truth so much that I knew something was wrong. So she has pampered us with the truth, which kind of goes back to the hymn of provenance, where it tells you these three things or four things that you have to stay away from. And one of them was poverty. We had to stay away from areas of poverty, these poverty demons. And she certainly has fed us and fattened us here in the West. And it's that Western candle called the Lord's candle, which represents the Spirit, that lit the other 6 candles. That's right. And that's what we have to do because we are the ones being nourished with this truth. We have to do it. And I know I have sisters all around the globe, but you're technically the Western candle, according to that. So base of trope, watch this. I love this one. Noun feminine, 5157. A turning. Return, O Shulamite. What might we see when the Shulamite returns, as it were, the company of 2 armies? That's a double camp. That's 144,000 daughters. Yeah. Yep. They're also identified as lilies, the lilies of the true covenant. They're identified as lilies. They're identified as she-goats, which is why you find her in a Genesis 15:9 covenant. So, a turning, a change, a mutation. Oh my gosh, a mutation. You know what? Where does that take us to? This is fun. We'll be done after this. Allow you to think about these things before we move in to the next part. So, what does it say? Okay, I gotta find it first. Here. Okay, so let's finish reading this here. Okay, the meaning, because I'm here where I need to be now. Yeah. Noun feminine, a turning. She's turning back. So what do they say the earth is? That the earth's true north is turning. The earth is turning. We've discussed this, how they kicked her feet away. And we said that when they moved to take our power away from us, which was power over the elements, some kind of power I don't understand, it was because of how they laid out the moon, the sun, and the earth. So it says in Revelations 12 that the moon will be at her feet. And I had it that the moon was like at her feet. And, you know, if you watch some space movies, they'll say, you know, it's all, it's not a matter of perspective even. It's just, you know, upside down is, you know, upright. It's not the way that you think it is. You think you're up. And they'll say, but you're not. You're really not up. You're down. It's I can't think of the word. It's all subjective. That's not even the word. Anyway, up is down, down is up. They're not what you think they are. So I always had it that the moon must be under earth, right? That's how I had it. But as you get studying the Psalms of degree and various passages to do with her saying they kicked my feet away, and then you understand that the moon, circles the earth at above the Midian point, which is the middle point, isn't it? Middle point. It's above the middle of the earth. So the moon circles, but it's not supposed to be there, I said. But earth has been turned away. Now it says return, O Shulamite. So you get the Psalms of degree, which is 120 to 134, Psalms 120 to 134. She has to, then we get the return. Oh, Shulamite, what might we see when the Shulamite returns? Her parting the admixture of lies, able to birth out her daughters, the lilies of the covenant, the true daughters that will run over the wall, which is in constellation of Draco. And while she's doing it, the archers are still shooting at her, the Baal men. But they lose the battle. She gets up there, she gets on her throne. These women, Draco is a huge constellation. It actually is going to be known as the Behemoth again. She says, I have a gentle law system, but I must go into battle to take out the wicked. You can't turn some people, you actually have to take them out. So, we get the Psalms of Degree, but she says, they kicked my feet away. And when that happened, I can't help but think of the way that man built himself up with thick clay. So our gravity centers are very different on a man and a woman. A woman's gravity center tends to be higher, right? Most of us know this. A man's center is in the middle. So him being the gravity pulling the way it is, it actually solidifies him and makes him stronger, perhaps, because our gravity center is higher. With the changing of degrees and her returning back and the moon now at her feet, it causes a turning, a change, and a mutation in us daughters willing to receive the truth. How? I don't understand. But watch. We know this is the case. We know this is the case. By what you believe, you are mutated. A turning, a change, a mutation, feminine. A turning of the heavenly bodies. See? That's why the earth is turning, because us daughters are returning. And it's going to allow us to birth our daughters and our sons eventually out of this earth back into the heavens. So from an apparent primary trepo to turn, a turn, trope, revolution, a revolution, figuratively variation, turning. Where did we get the first turning? Where did we get it? Job 30, verse 18. By the great force. The force here, oh, we get that in the Jedi. The force is with us. No, the force got removed from us. By the great force of my disease, sin. Sin has reshaped the brethren. It came back to the moon god, didn't it? Sin meant a moon god. It was the name of a moon god. That gets us Sennacherib's name, that pointy cherub who accused us. Of my disease is my garment changed, mutated. It has been mutated, and it bindeth me about as the collars of my coat. They locked us into a religious lie, and they yoked us with a law system, and we were mutated and changed in some way. Because everything mutated and changed out there. The heavenly bodies turned. And it mutated our bodies so that we were no longer holding the power of the Holy Spirit upon us. And that power is a real power over the elements, according to everything that we can read. Does that show here, or does it show out there in the second heaven when we battle Draco for our throne and take it back? You forgot my holy hell. I'm going to say something else. I also see the name Simone Biles. She's a gymnast. She's a very good one, too. I would never... She's quite cute, too. Or I think she is. Biles. We get biles. I will cause you to puke up. I will force up that which you have swallowed. So we get biles. I can't remember the name of Simone. I looked it up. But they call her the goat. Do you know there's a planet in the constellation of Draco called the goat? Altaeus. I think it is. Is that where we're heading? It's in the second loop of Draco. So we're not quite at the head yet. Right? We're heading for the head, though. So by the great force of my disease, the mutation of my body, is my garment, my body changed. It hindereth me about as the collars of my coat. He did, man did, not God, man did. He hath cast me into the mire. There you go. And I am become like dust and ashes. See, he had no respect for, if you read all of Job 30, you're going to find it takes you straight back to the Shulamite. If you don't want to hear it, that's entirely up to you, but I can tell you, you're going to miss out on some great blessings if you don't listen. Anyway, that's the video for today. Sorry, I really thought I was going to get to Psalm. Oh, see, it's an hour already. Psalm 68, 69. And Lord only knows where that's going to take us to. A whole bunch of stuff, I'm sure. Interesting stuff. It just keeps, we just keep understanding more and more as we continue this climb. So I'll call that good. Don't know that I'll upload it today. I got some work I got to be doing. If I can get to it tonight, I'll upload it maybe. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the glare if there was any. It looks like it went down considerably, so maybe it stayed down. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you all are blessed with a lovely day. Love my sisters. I may not always make comments, but I know you're there. I see you. I'll quickly look at your channels just so I can reference you for me, for myself. I try to recall your names. If I don't, forgive me for that, but I do try to remember the names of my commenters in as much as I'm able to. And I love you being here. I do love your comments. They do make me strong and courageous, and I hope these videos do the same for you. So thanks for watching. I pray you're all blessed with a gorgeous day, and thanks for watching.